Members, it's time for us to resume our meeting, and we've also formed a quorum. So let's proceed with the second meeting. Mr. Gary Fan. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with FC Procedure Paragraph 37A, I move that as there is still a great deal of room for improvement for waste reduction at source, the administration should give priority to waste reduction and restoration of our fish farming industry to absorb more food waste, etc. And these are organic waste. So this committee requests the administration to formulate laws to provide food waste subsidy to fish pond owners and fish farming industries so as to increase the use of food waste as food fries before extending West New Territories Landfill Extension. Voting now begins. Before I announce the results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Voting results 2 for, 17 against. The motion is negative. Mr. Gary Fan, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move that as there's a huge room for improvement for waste reduction at source, the administration should give priority to promoting waste reduction and restoration of poultry farming to absorb more food waste, etc., before extending West NT landfill. So the committee requests the administration to restore the licensing of poultry farming before extending West NT landfill. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 2 for, 18 against. I declare the motion negative. Were we on 86 or 85? And we should be on 86, is that correct? It should be Mr. Albert Chan. Mr. Albert Chan, is your turn. Well, Mr. Chairman, I went to the toilet and I did not have time to come back for voting. Well, we took a break of over 10 odd minutes. Well, Mr. Chairman, I had to go upstairs. You're exerting pressure on my physical and biological aspects, not just mentally. As the administration is to extend West NT landfill and commission consultancy to do work, but at the same time there's no plan for widening Nim Wan Road. This committee requests the administration to, while planning for extending West NT landfill, study the widening of Nim Wan Road and Long Ku Tan Road at the same time, and to conduct a feasibility study such that the two roads can cope with the RCV flow after extension. We've consulted Mr. Lau Wong Fat on this and he agreed. Before I announce the results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Voting results 5 for, 21 against. The motion is negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Mr. Chairman, as regard as the number of refuse collection vehicles will grow tremendously after the extension, and waste gases would be generated, thus causing the air quality in Tuen Mun to deteriorate. So this committee requests that before tendering for the extension works that the administration should undertake to, upon the completion of the extension works, set up no less than 5 air monitoring stations along the RCV route in Tuen Mun to closely monitor and assess the waste gases emitted by RCVs and its impact on the air quality of Tuen Mun. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 6 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Abachan, Chairman, as West Anti-Landfill upon completion would cause the living environment of Lung Kou Tan village to deteriorate drastically and rapidly. The committee requested the consultants commissioned by the administration to design the work plan only after conducting an opinion poll in Lung Kou Tan village and gain a majority of support from Lung Kou Tan residents before continuing with the design outline. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 6 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Abachan, Chairman, I move that as the extension of West Anti-Landfill consultancy fees and investigations, certain expenses in the tendering documents would undergo assessment in the procurement process. So, this committee requests that the scoring rates should be higher than the actual tendering scores to ensure that an operator with rich experience in landfills and with good track records will be selected for the design, build, and operation of West Anti-Landfill Extension. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 5 for, 19 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Abachan? Chairman. As the administration has still not identified the source of the odor of West Anti-Landfill, this committee requests the administration to shelve the site investigation work for the extension project and will only start the related studies after identifying the odor source of the landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 5 for, 22 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Abachan? Thank you, Chairman. I move that as the existing West Anti-Landfill Extension will cause the living environment in Tuen Mun to rapidly deteriorate, many Tuen Mun residents would like to improve the supporting transport facilities to remedy the harm caused to Tuen Mun residents by the extension, and the administration in its enhancement and improvement measures include improvement of the Tuen Mun transport network and public transport services. Therefore, this committee requests the administration to, before the tender work, build no less than 3 railway stations to improve the traffic and transport of Tuen Mun, to remedy the harm and impact caused by the extension, to reduce the satisfaction of Tuen Mun residents. Voting now begins. Before I declare the results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 5 for, 22 against. The motion is negatived.
Mr. Chairman, I move that since over the past years, a number of major infrastructure projects have experienced major blunders in the investigation works, causing serious delays and cost overruns for these projects. This committee requests that the administration, in selecting the consultant for investigation works for the NT-West Landfill Expansion project, must stipulate in the project that in the event of major discrepancies in the consultant's investigation result in the actual situation of the works area, the consultant responsible for the investigation works must make compensation to ensure that the consultant responsible for the investigation can carry out investigation work accurately. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 6 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negatived. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, I move that as the administration has expressed that the operating period of the NT-West Landfill Extension will be 15 years. Many Tuen Mun residents are concerned about the odor nuisance generated by the landfill. This committee therefore requests that in selecting the tender for the consultancy of the project, the administration must select one that has operated no less than 5 landfills and received no complaints in relation to odor during the operation period, to make sure that the operator selected can, or the contractor selected can properly deal with the problem of odor in NT-West Landfill Extension. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 6 for, 22 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, I move that as the NT-West Landfill Expansion plan will cause a serious deterioration of the living environment in Tuen Mun, this committee requests that in before conducting investigation works for the NT-West Landfill Expansion, the administration must undertake that 2 public hospitals will be built in 10 years' time in Tuen Mun to ensure that there will be sufficient healthcare services to provide treatment for residents affected by the expansion, and to make up for the harm and impact caused on the livelihood of Tuen Mun residents near NT-West Landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the result, please check your votes. Now voting is closed. The result is displayed. 6 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, I move that as upon completion of the NT-West Landfill Expansion Plan, more RCVs will ply between via Tuen Mun area. This committee requests that when devising the design outline for NT-West Landfill Expansion Plan, the administration should at the same time consider restricting the number of RCVs accessing the NT-West Landfill to 80 or below to reduce the impact on Tuen Mun residents. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 6 for, 22 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman, I move that as the administration has expressed that the Anti-West Landfill Expansion spans an area of 200 hectares, this committee requests that when devising the design outline for Anti-West Landfill Expansion, the administration must reduce the expansion area from 200 to 50 hectares so that the expanded area can be away from the residential area and the impact on Tuen Mun residents can be minimized. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, I thank Mr. Andrew Leung just now for supporting one of my motions. I think that it's just a mistake on his part anyway. I thank him. I move that as the 3 landfills will reach their capacities and the administration would like to expand Anti-West landfill to treat more waste, this committee requests that before commencing the design work for Anti-West landfill, the administration must mandate the timetable for separation and recovery of waste through legislative means to show the government's willingness in reducing the waste disposal by mandating separation and recovery of waste. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 23 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I moved that the administration is applying for funding on the grounds that the Anti-West landfill will be reaching its capacity, and that funding is required for consultants' fees and investigation for Anti-West landfill's expansion. This committee requests that before commencing investigation work, the administration must devise policy so as to reduce the per capita waste disposal rate in Hong Kong to a level comparable to that of South Korea's and Taiwan's to show the government's resolve in reducing waste disposal. It's very reasonable. It's a very reasonable request to bring ourselves to the levels of Taiwan and South Korea. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 24 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I move that as the Anti-West landfill expansion consultants' fees and investigation involves public money of up to $38 million. This committee requests that the administration must ensure that the winning consultant will not hire imported labor for the investigation work so that public money can be used properly and there could be more jobs for the local market. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 11 for, 20 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I moved that as in the funding application for the Anti-West Landfill Expansion consultants' fees and investigation, some of the expenses will be used on the proposed design outline for the expansion project. This committee requests that before devising the design outline for the extension, the administration must consult Tuen Mun residents, and only when 75% of Tuen Mun residents support the proposal can the administration continue with devising the design outline of the proposed Anti-West landfill expansion. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I move that since over the past years a number of major infrastructure projects have experienced major delays and cost overruns due to major errors in the investigation work, this committee requests that when selecting a consultant for investigation work for the Anti-West Landfill Expansion project, the administration must select one which has undertaken not less than 20 investigation works projects in Hong Kong without any major mistakes in relation to investigation works, so as to avoid major delays caused by major mistakes in the course of investigation works in the Anti-West Landfill Expansion. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negatived. Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman, I move that since in the funding application of Anti-West Landfill Expansion Project consultant fees and investigation, part of the expenses would be used on devising a design outline for the proposed expansion. This committee therefore requests that when devising the design outline for Anti-West Landfill Expansion, the administration must ensure that the area, the expansion area, must be at least 8 kilometers away from the residential area, so as to ensure that the landfill will not cause a nuisance to the residents. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 20 against. The motion is negative. Mr. Albert Chairman, I move that since the administration has expressed that the expansion area of Anti-West Landfill is about 200 hectares, is obviously too big, this committee requests that when devising the design outline for Anti-West Landfill expansion, the administration must consider reducing the expansion area from 200 to 100 hectares to reduce the nuisance caused by the Anti-West Landfill expansion to the neighborhood. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 9 for, 22 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I moved that since the administration has expressed that the proposed anti-West landfill expansion can provide an additional landfill capacity of 81 million cubic meters. This committee requests that when devising the design outline for anti-West landfill expansion, the administration must consider reducing the additional landfill capacity from 81 million cubic meters to 40 million cubic meters to reduce the nuisance caused by the expansion area to the nearby community. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negatived. Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. I moved that as in the funding application of anti-West landfill expansion consultants' fees and investigation, some of the expenses will be used on the design outline of the proposed expansion. This committee requests that when devising the design outline for the proposed expansion, the administration must set up a committee on the design of anti-West landfill expansion plan with members from Tuen Mun residential area, the relevant consultants and government officials to jointly design the expansion scope and outlook of the expansion area to ensure that the proposal would meet the public's demand. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 9 for, 20 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman, I moved that as every day more than 3,000 tons of food waste is disposed at landfills, and many of the food waste is disposed in the anti-West landfill, causing an odor problem. This committee requests that before commencing design work for the anti-West landfill expansion project, the administration must formulate policies to reduce the daily food waste disposal to below 1,200 tons in 3 years' time, and also to stipulate that food waste must not be disposed of within the expansion area in anti-West landfill to ensure that anti-West residents will not be further nuisance by the odor problem generated by food waste. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 20 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Andrew Leung, for leaving his seat so that there will be one vote less against my proposal. Well, Chairman, I move that as in the funding application for anti-West landfill expansion consultants' fees and investigation, some of the expenses would be used on preparing tender documents, tender assessment, and contract procurement. Not many members are familiar with this. Chairman, this committee requests that in preparing the tender documents, the administration must stipulate that the construction price must not be over $7 billion to ensure that in the process of assessing tenders, the administration can, with limited resources, complete the assessment process and select contractors that can complete the anti-West landfill expansion project.
We will
now put the item to the vote before I announce the results. Please verify your votes. Voting is concluded and will display the results. 9 for, 17 against. I declare the proposal is negatived. Mr. Chen Wai-Yip. Thank you, Chairman. I move that concerning the application for funding for West NT Landfill Extension Consultants' fees and investigations, some of the fees will go into vetting of tenders and consultancy fees for procurement. We ask the administration that only the contractors should be selected if they are not directly or indirectly related to the operation of the landfills, to prepare tender documents to ensure that there will be no special connections leading to any impact on the tendering provisions or vetting criteria, to ensure that the tendering work there is a typo. We need to remove not, so that the tendering work is fair and open. We now proceed to the vote. Please verify your votes. The voting is concluded. Please show the results. 9 for, 19 against. I declare proposal negatived. Mr. Bachan, I move that for years the administration has proceeded to tendering and vetting of tender document work without prior consent of the Legislative Council, and they forced the committee to pass controversial works and projects, saying that any refusal of such work will lead to retendering. As for the application for funding for West NT Landfill Extension consultants' fees and investigations, part of the expenses will go into consultancy fee for vetting the tender documents and contract procurement. We ask the administration to first report to the committee the final design proposal before they commence vetting of the tender document, so that they will not proceed to tendering work without the prior approval by the Legislative Council. We now proceed to the vote. Please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Will display the results. 10 for, 20 against. Proposal negative. Mr. Chen. Chairman, I move that the quality of life of the people in Tuen may be affected by the NT West Landfill Expansion Plan and other West NT Landfill Extension consultants' fees and investigations. Part of the expenses will be going into consultancy fee for vetting the tender documents. We ask the administration to set up a vetting committee involving consultants, Tuen residents, and relevant officers, so that people have the opportunity to participate in the vetting work, so that local residents can choose the most suitable contractor for the expansion plan. We now proceed to vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Will show the results. 11 for, 19 against. I declare proposal negative. To Mr. Bachan. Chairman, I move that because the construction fee for NT West landfill expansion work may exceed 10 billion, and part of the West NT Landfill Extension consultants' fees and investigations expenses will go into consultancy fee for the vetting of tender documents. I urge the government to select no less than 10 consultants who have experience vetting works of more than 10 billion to take up the responsibility to assure that the consultants will choose contractors with sufficient experience on carrying out the expansion work. We'll proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is concluded. Let's display the results. 9 for, 18 against. I declare proposal negative. To Mr. Bachan. Thank you, Chairman. I move that every day more than 5,000 tons of solid municipal solid waste is disposed at the Territories Landfill for the longer term, such huge amount of municipal solid waste cannot be handled. This committee asks that before the commencement of the landfill expansion plan, we must ask the government to reduce the level of municipal solid waste from 5,200 tons to below 3,000 tons, so as to minimize the nuisance caused to the nearby community. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 8 for, 19 against. I declare proposal negative. Mr. Albert Chen. Chairman, I move that since today plenty of recyclable waste such as paper and plastics are disposed of at the Territories Landfill, and the government has no intention to go through mandatory legislation work to have sorted recycling to reduce the amount. This committee demands the administration to first formulate policy and prohibit abandoning paper waste and plastic waste in the Territories landfill so as to reduce the amount of waste. And that will allow the government to reduce the size of expansion plan for the landfill and minimize the impact of the expansion plan on the Territories residents. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your vote. Voting is concluded. We'll display the results. 11 for, 18 against. I declare proposal negative. To Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I move that this committee demands the government to carry out consultancy research work and ensure that the extension part cannot be used for disposal of the ashes created by the Comprehensive Waste Management Facilities Phase 1 to ensure that the living quality of Territories residents will not be further damaged. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong, Mr. Chen Chi-chun, do you have any more submissions for Territories? Not me. Mr. Leung? Maybe I do, maybe I don't. Well, I have to remind you, last week, you submitted hundreds last time. And if you submit another few dozen, do you think we'll have time? This is not going to facilitate orderly proceeding of the meeting. Now, let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Let's display the results. 14 for, 19 against. I declare the proposal negative. 5 votes difference. Mr. Albert Chen, I think the Secretary is beginning to feel scared. Perhaps eventually we will get more votes than the pro-government camp. We just need 6 more votes. I move that the administration stated that another 81 million cubic meters can be provided for landfill. People are worried about more and more waste being dumped at the landfill, causing worsening of living environment in Tuen Mun. We demand the administration to formulate the layout plan and reduce the additional capacity from 81 million cubic meters to 20 million cubic meters to minimize the impact of the landfill expansion plan on the Tuen Mun residents. We'll proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is concluded. We'll display the results. 14 for, 20 against. I declare proposal negative. Ms. Albert Chen. Well, the gap is widened again. Chairman, I move that since the existing NTU West landfill area releases bad odor affecting nearby residents. We urge the administration to first carry out investigative work and thoroughly resolve the bad odor problem before commencing relevant research or study work. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded will display the results. 11 for, 17 against. I declare proposal negatived. Ms. Albert Chen, I saw the chance of winning and then some people left. Chairman, I move that since the administration said the extension part of the landfill can operate for as long as 15 years, local residents are worried about the impact of bad odor. This committee requests the government to first shorten the operable duration of the landfill by 5 years to reduce the impact from the extension part of the landfill on Tuen Mun area. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded, we will display the results. 12 for, 20 against. I declare the proposal negative. Ms. Albert Chen, I move that since many NTU West residents are worried that there will be endless expansion of the Tuen Mun landfill, which is obnoxious facility, before formulating the layout plan, the administration should undertake that there will be no more obnoxious facilities to be erected in Tuen Mun area before they proceed to designing the layout plan for the NTU West landfill expansion plan. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 12 for, 18 against. I declare proposal negatived. Ms. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I move that since the NTU West landfill expansion part will create a lot of waste being transported on land to NTU West landfill, causing substantial decrease of living environment in Tuen Mun. We urge that before the administration work on the design layout of the extension plan, the government should shorten the operational time to 6 hours a day and regulate that between noon and 6 p.m. garbage collection trucks are allowed to go inside and out of the expansion plan to minimize the impact of the landfill on Tuen Mun areas. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 12 for, 22 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I move that since the funding approval involves 2.2 million on preparation of tendering document on the NTU West landfill extension consultants' fees and investigations, we ask that the administration should select consultants who have been responsible for no less than 7 projects which are of the worth of $10 million to prepare the tendering documents to ensure that they have the necessary experience in handling a project that is up to $10 billion. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 11 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. To Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you. I move that since when the expansion plan is completed, the administration may spend more than 10 million or even 100 million to operate the landfill. When tendering documents are being prepared, we demand that the administration should state clearly that only tenderers with an operation cost less than 30 million will be allowed to operate the extension portion, so that the government can select the contractor who has the highest level of cost effectiveness to design, build and operate the West landfill expansion part. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, members, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 10 for, 22 against. I declare motion negative. To Mr. Albert Chen, thank you. I move that according to the funding application of West landfill extension consultants' fees and investigations, part of the expenses will go into preparation of tendering documents, vetting of tender documents, and contract procurement. We urge the administration to state that there will be a monopoly of all the landfill operations by ensuring that more than one contractor will be responsible for the design, building, and operation of the extension part. We now proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 11 for, 23 against. I declare motion negative. To Ms. Albert Chen, I move that since the extension plan will cover 200 hectares, many people are worried that it can only be implemented through massive destruction of wooded land. We ask the administration to state there will be no more 50 trees felled to ensure there is not too many trees will be felled according to the extension plan. Proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is concluded. We'll display the results. 11 for, 25 against. I declare motion negative. Mr. Albert Chen. Thank you, Chairman. I move that since the environmental impact assessment report for West landfill extension plan was conducted in 2006, it may deviate from the current situation. We request the administration to first shelve the extension plan and the investigation plan and commence environmental impact assessment on the extension area so that we can make assessments accurately on the impact on the nearby community according to the latest situation and data.
可能個洪議員應該排咗你嘅，不過因為
Mr. Leung Kok Hong, I've put you on the queue, but as you have submitted new motions, I've put your single motion at the end of the queue. Well, Mr. Chairman, why are you so clever? What have you eaten? The pig's brain? Well, I'm not a clever person. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 11 for, 24 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Sito, in accordance with 37A of the FC procedure, I move that the administration should, as soon as possible, impose a fee on household waste on a quantity basis. Otherwise, the extended West Anti landfill will be saturated in 17 years' time. Next one will be Dr. Fernando Cheung, so please get yourself prepared. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 9 for, 24 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Cheung, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move that this committee moves that the West Anti extension be reduced in area and scale, and to implement the waste reduction and recycling policy so as to review the effectiveness of the recovery and reduction of waste policy in 3 years' time. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 10 for, 23 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Cheung, in paper FCR 2014-15-33A paragraph 7 is pointed out that the extension of West Anti landfill will provide extra capacity for the residents of the western part of Hong Kong to provide them with waste disposal services. I move that the committee requests the administration to explain, apart from the residents in the western part of Hong Kong, residents of other districts should not use the West Anti landfill before proceeding with this extension project. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 11 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Cheung. FC paper FCR 2014-15-33A paragraph 9 points out that the proposed West Anti landfill extension occupies an area of 200 hectares and can operate for 15 years. In accordance with paragraph 37A of the FC procedure, I move that this committee request the administration to explain the details of calculation in the lifespan of West Anti landfill extension before proceeding with the extension.
現在開始。
Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 12 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Chang. FC paper FCR 2014-15 33A paragraph 16 points out that the administration did consult district residents, including stakeholders like Tuen Mun District Council. In accordance with paragraph 37A of FC procedure, I move that this committee moves that the administration explains, apart from Tuen Mun District Council, were district residents' views collected in detail. The administration should explain the method of opinion collection, the number of polls, and the amount of supporting and dissenting views. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Chang. FC paper FCR 2014-15 33A paragraph 16 points out that the administration consulted district residents and continued to liaise with district residents. In accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move that this committee moves that the administration explain the method and specific objectives of keeping liaison with the residents of NT West, the financial sources, before proceeding with the extension of the West NT landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Dr. Fernando Chang. FC paper FCR 2014-15 33A paragraph 17 points out that on the 27th of May 2013, at the meeting of LegCo's Environmental Affairs Panel, a motion was moved to oppose the West NT landfill extension. According to 37A of FC procedure, I move that the committee move that the administration should respond to the viewpoints of the dissenting members at the meeting of the EA panel on the 27th of May 2013. Dr. Fernando Chang, there are rectifications to your motion 67, but after including the modifications, motion 67 will be the same as motion 66. So I have cancelled motion 67. You're correct, Chairman. Emila will be the next member to move motions. Voting now begins. Please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 21 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration to, before completing the review on the effectiveness of the three-color recovery bins, the administration should withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15 33A. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results, 11 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration to, before reviewing the effectiveness of the policy initiatives on the recovery of household food waste, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Mr. Chen Chi-chun, you submitted 10 motions just now. The last 3 had been ruled out of order by me, so only 7 for you. After Ms. Emily Lau, it will be your turn. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results, 10 for, 24 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration in 6 months' time explore the enhancement of the collection of waste by sea and by bulk to West Landfill and to enhance the rate to 100%. And before that is done, to withdraw the funding application under paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results, 10 for, 28 against. The motion is negative. Ms. Emily Lau. In accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration to, before ensuring that the exported waste for recycling and reuse provided by Customs and Excise Department do not include waste imported from jurisdictions beyond Hong Kong, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results, 10 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration to, before providing what Customs and Excise Department in relation to import and export declaration of the operational flow of waste as well as the forms filled out by the exporter, ensure that before the exporter exports waste in accordance with the form, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results, 10 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau, Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration for recyclers, waste exporters, establish a certification system and before that is being done, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 10 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau. In accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration re-establish a contract with the cleansing contractor to allow the cleansing contractor to, apart from cleansing work, conduct environment-friendly recovery and recycling from the waste collected to enhance the strength and effectiveness of recycling of resources. And before a new contract is signed, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 10 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Ms. Emily Lau. Chairman, in accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move the following motion. This committee requests the administration to, as soon as possible, promote a levy regime for garbage so as to comprehensively change the attitude of Hong Kong residents towards the disposal of household rubbish. And before this levy system is implemented, withdraw the funding application in paper FCR 2014-15-33A. Mr. Chen Chi-chun, you'll be the next. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 9 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. In accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move that as the administration has not done its waste reduction and recovery work well, and as it still forces upon us the extension of the West End landfill, this committee requests the administration to conduct a comprehensive study to analyze the segregation of wastes on a knock-on-the-door basis in terms of waste recovery, and to enhance the efficiency of waste collection by recovery bins. And before that is done, the administration should not proceed to the West End landfill extension. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 8 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. In accordance with FC Procedure 37A, I move that as the administration is proceeding with West End extension without doing its waste reduction and recovery work well, For example, in Shuhowan, there is this large food waste factory that wastes a great deal of costs, and the efficiency is limited. So this committee requests the administration to comprehensively study technology other than the present one to handle food waste before extending West NT landfill.
Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of the FC procedures, I move that as the administration has not properly implemented reduction in waste and waste recovery and have not faced up to local views, this committee requests that the administration can only expand anti-West landfill after fully consulting residents in Yunnan. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is rolling out anti-West landfill extension project without properly implemented waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee requests that waste reduction be added in civic education of secondary and primary schools curriculums before the administration expands anti-West landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 10 for, 29 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is implementing anti-West landfill expansion without properly implemented waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee urges the administration to undertake that a second incinerator will not be built in 50 years before it is allowed to expand anti-West landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 11 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. To Mr. Chen Chi-chun. In accordance with para 37A of the FC procedures, I move that since the administration is implementing an anti-West landfill expansion without properly implementing waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee urges the administration not to expand anti-West landfill unless the government undertakes that another landfill will not be expanded in 50 years.
現在
Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Chen Chi-chun, in accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implemented waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee urges the administration to expand anti-waste landfill only after proposing a sustainable development outline. Mr. Lang Kwok-hong, you're next. I will deal with those that have been approved. I mean, the one that has been approved a while ago, the 59, and then I'll tell you how I will deal with the 40 new ones that you have proposed. Now, voting begins. Please check your votes before I declare the result. Voting is closed. Result is displayed. 7 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Lang Kwok-hong, in accordance with Rule Para 37A of FC procedures, I move that even in the face of strong objections, the administration is still implementing anti-waste landfill expansion project. This committee urges the administration to conduct independent studies on the health assessment of Tuen Mun residents, and the result of which should be published for the reference of this council and the public. Mr. Lang Kwok-hong, for the 40 motions that you submitted just now, 18 of them have been accepted by the Secretariat and myself after reading them. As for the remaining 22, they're not directly related to the agenda item. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members, please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 10 for, 24 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Lang Kwok-hong, thank you, Chairman. In accordance with Para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery initiative, this committee urges the administration to study how members of the public can be encouraged to refrain from replacing their notebook computers unnecessarily before expanding anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 8 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Lang Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with Para 37A of FC procedures, I move that as the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee urges the administration to study how members of the public can be encouraged to refrain from replacing desktop computers unnecessarily before expanding anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 9 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and waste recovery, this committee urges the administration to study how the public can be encouraged to exchange old clothes before expanding anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfills without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery initiatives, this committee urges the administration to increase PRH housing in urban areas to minimize the chance of eligible applicants having to move because of private flat rental hikes, causing more, generating more waste before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong, thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery initiatives, the committee urges the administration to submit a report to analyze the source and the ratio of CNI food waste and to propose solutions and a direction for waste reduction before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes? Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery, this committee urges the administration to submit a report to study how waste reduction can be implemented through changing product designs of various industries before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members please check your vote. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. 8 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery, this committee urges the administration to submit a report to review the effectiveness of old items collection centers operated by NGOs such as the Salvation Army and make proposals before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, will members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 10 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery, this committee urges the administration to undertake not to expand anti-waste landfill within 50 years before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, would members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 11 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. In accordance with para 37A of FC procedures, I move that since the administration is expanding anti-waste landfill without properly implementing waste reduction and recovery, this committee urges the administration to add the element of waste reduction in the geography subject of secondary and primary schools curriculum before expanding the anti-waste landfill. Voting begins. Before I declare the voting result, members please check your votes. Voting is closed. The result is displayed. Voting result 11 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative.
OK， 唔該晒。睇唔到啊！
現在開始表決。
We now proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. Let's display the results. 11 for, 26 against. I declare the motion is negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong, thank you. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of Finance Committee, I move that since the government has not done well waste reduction and recycling work, we ask that the government should study into how to encourage people to swap to new mobile phones unnecessarily before they proceed to the anti-waste landfill extension plan. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the voting results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed. Let's display the results. 10 for, 26 against. I declare motion negative. To Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of FC, I move that since the government has not done well with reduction and recycling work and wanted to proceed to the extension plan, we demand that the government should study into how to encourage people to handle better their kitchen waste before moving forward to the extension plan. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting closed. Let's display the results. 9 for, 23 against. I declare it is negative. To Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure, I move that since the government has not done well with reduction and recycling work, we ask the government legislate to regulate all the manufacturers of glass containers to set up recycling system before they can be sold, and when that is done, the government can proceed to the extension plan. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is closed and will display the results. 12 for, 27 against. The motion is negative. To Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedures of FC, I move that since the government wants to push ahead with the extension plan without doing well with reduction and recycling work, we demand that the government should submit a blueprint for low carbon emission city before they can proceed. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting closed. Let's display the results. 13 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. To Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedures of FC, I move that since the government wishes to force forward the anti-waste landfill extension plan without doing waste reduction and recycling, but I urge the government to provide assistance to landlords of agricultural land so as to reinstate agricultural industry and increase the possibilities of farms taking over kitchen waste before they proceed to the extension plan. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting closed and display the results. The result is 13 for, 25 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of Finance Committee, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing waste reduction and recycling work, this committee urges government to set up recycling center for styrofoam before they can proceed ahead. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Votes closed. Let's display the results. 13 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of FC, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing waste reduction and recycling work, we urge the government to set up a tinfoil recycling center before proceeding ahead. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is now concluded. Let's display the results. 14 for, 28 against. I declare motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of FC, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing waste reduction and recycling work, and they have not faced the views of the local residents in Yuen Long. I urge the government to understand better their. I would like to ask you, any more 37A submissions? You are making this very difficult to chair this meeting in an orderly manner because I committed to all the members. I have asked people to come back to cast their vote. Really? No more submissions. Thank you. But we'll proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. We'll show the results. 14 for, 25 against. I declare the motion negatived. So Leung Kwok Hong, there shouldn't be any more from me. So the last batch, there are 7. No, more than 7. You submitted 40 beforehand. We approved 18, and they have been handled already, up to 141. They have been handled. And then the new 7 submissions, or 19 submissions, we approve 7 of them. So we now have 7 more to deal with. And we have to ask the members to return to cast their votes. Mr. Alban Chen submitted another 7. Any more submissions, please? Just 7. If you approve all of them, Well, they may be repetitive, they may be not directly related to the item. So let's handle the 7 from Mr. Leung Kwok Hong first. Please read them out, Mr. Leung. Thank you. According to 37A of the Rules of Procedure of Finance Committee, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with NT-West Landfill Extension plan without... Well, we were voting. You haven't announced the results. We'll proceed to the vote. For the last one, before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 12 for, 29 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Chairman, are you making a mistake? 158 I haven't finished. But there could be mistakes anywhere because you are submitting things in the last minute. Under 37A, this is not helpful for chairing the meeting in a systematic and effective manner. Just read on. We can only try to do our best. Calm down, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of Finance Committee, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the landfill extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling work, we ask the government to submit a report to state how we can effectively promote reusing old items before proceeding to the extension plan. We will proceed to the votes. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. We will display the results. 12 for, 27 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of the FC, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling work, I ask the government to establish a data bank for green products before they can proceed to the extension plan. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is now concluded and let's display the results. 13 for, 23 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. He did it intentionally. According to 37A of Rules of Procedures of FC, I move that since the government is forcing ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling work, I urge the government to legislate so that there will be segregation of dry waste and wet waste in all the local commercial malls before they can proceed forward. We'll proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 13 for, 27 against. I declare motion negative. Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of the FC, I move that the government is forcing ahead with the NT-West Landfill Extension plan without doing well the waste reduction and recycling work. I ask the government should conduct a study to promote the use of reusable batteries before they can move forward. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is now concluded. We'll display the results. 12 for, 27 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong? Thank you. Chairman, according to 37A of Rules of Procedure of the Finance Committee, I move that since the government is forcing ahead with the anti-West landfill extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling, this committee urges the government to further increase the levy on plastic bags before they can proceed to the plan. I want to ask, any more members are going to submit anything under 37A? If not, together with Mr. Albert Chan's 7 submissions, 3 left for Mr. Leung Kwok-hong, so we have 10 37A submissions to deal with. I'm not sure if we can do that within the time frame today, but we have 10 more 37A.
現在開始表決。
Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 14 for, 27 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong. Thank you, Chairman. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of FC, I move that since the government is forcing ahead with the anti-West landfill extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling work, this committee asks the government to conduct a comprehensive study to promote and set up composting sites in the community before proceeding forward. We proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting is now concluded. Let's display the results. 14 for, 26 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Leung Kwok-hong? Thank you, Chairman. Well, there's nothing on the screen. Adjourn is broken. What is happening? Adjourn it. Give him 10 seconds. I'm farsighted. According to 37A of Rules of Procedure of FC, I move that since the government wishes to force ahead with the anti-West landfill extension plan without doing well waste reduction and recycling work, this committee urges the government to extend the producer's responsibility system to have a study on recovering plastic bottles before proceeding ahead. Ms. Apichan, you are next. Let's proceed to the vote. Before I announce the results, please verify your votes. Voting concluded. Let's display the results. 13 for, 26 against. I declare motion negatived. Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman.
I move that as the chairman's not done his recycling and recovery work well, it still proposes to extend West anti-landfill. This committee suggests that the administration impose a levy scheme on plastic bags before extending West anti-landfill.
陳偉業議員其實呢
Mr. Albert Chan, in fact, just now motion 165 is yours, but then I read out Mr. Leung Kwok-hong's name and he also read that out. So now together with this one, you still have 6. Oh no, Mr. Chairman, I suggest we do it afresh. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Mr. Chairman, you have to do history justice. You shouldn't put the blame on Mr. Leung Kwok Hong. No, that's not the case. But then you are making the life of the clerk and me difficult. I was just telling you that he has already moved the motion on your behalf, so you don't need to repeat that. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, for your accommodation. Well, I've always been accommodating. I only have 20 seconds. I only have 20 seconds. Sorry, the speaker is not coming through. Sorry, the speaker is not coming through. It doesn't matter. Even if you don't read out the motion, we can cast our votes. 7 seconds. Well, waste reduction work has not been done well. I haven't finished. Time's up. Voting ends. Before we declare the results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. 11 for, 27 against. The motion is negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman, even if you want to rush this through, you shouldn't act like that. I move that as the administration has not done waste reduction well enough, it still wants to extend waste anti-landfill. So there should be a new responsibility scheme on the contractor before we proceed to waste anti-extension. Well, Mr. Albert Chan, in fact, we can take a vote even without reading out the motion. Now, on top of this, we still have 3 more motions on 37A. So it's time for you to call your members back for voting. The speaker is not coming through. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 26 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan? Chairman, I move that as the government has not done waste recycling well, and it still wants to proceed with waste anti-landfill extension, community recovery facility should be improved such that the number of waste collection bins and ordinary bins should be improved to 1:1 before waste anti-landfill should be extended. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 14 for, 27 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan, Chairman. Well, Mr. Lau Fong Fat is not here, so we shouldn't vote on this landfill. We should wait till he comes back. I move that as the government has not done waste reduction well, but still wants to proceed with waste anti-landfill extension, the producer responsibility system should be expanded and more waste recycling bins and facilities should be provided before waste anti-landfill is extended. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 13 for, 28 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Wow, Chairman. Well, if all the 3 landfill proposals got passed today, you'll get the Pecuniary Award. I move that as the government has not done waste reduction well, but still wants to proceed with West Anti-Landfill Extension, I move that a study targeting household waste as well as an order for waste dumping at landfill to restrict the amount of waste dumped at landfill before West Anti-Landfill should be extended. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, please check your votes. Voting is now closed. Display voting results. Voting results 14 for, 29 against. I declare the motion negative. Mr. Albert Chan. Chairman, time's up. This clock is a bit slow, I think. Oh, sorry, we just finished all your motions. And now put the proposals in paper FCR 2014-15 33A to the vote. Sorry, the speaker is not coming through. Sorry, Mr. Albert Chan. This is already in the paper. For example, perhaps you didn't read it yesterday. That's why I've been reminding you when we come to the last 10, 5, and so forth. I now put the proposals in paper FCR 2014-15 33A in relation to West Anti-Landfill Extension be put to the vote. A point of order, Mr. Chairman. Chairman, I have to declare interest. I have to declare interest. What interest would you like to declare? Pecuniary interest, direct pecuniary interest? Chairman, pecuniary interest involve a lot of things. Refuse collection and landfill operations involve taxation. We all generate waste, household waste, biological waste, and so forth. Mr. Albert Chan, I have to rule you out of order. I now put the proposals in paper FCR 2014-15 33A in relation to West Anti-Landfill Extension to the vote. A division is claimed. The division bell will ring for 1 minute. 1 minute, please. One minute. Voting now begins. Before I declare the voting results, members, please check your votes. Voting now ends. Display voting results. Voting results 27 for, 16 against. I declare the motion passed. It's just time for us to adjourn, so meeting adjourned.